So, hello, I'm Michael, and as Kurt mentioned, I was working with Paul out in Friend, Nebraska. That's me on the left, and that's Paul on the right. It's just a wonderful community, very friendly, and pun intended. The first project that Paul and I started working on was speculative housing. So when we first found out about this project, we heard that Friend really wanted to develop some kind of speculative housing so that way people in the community could, or people from outside the community could move in, keep money within kind of the radius of economic development for Friend, and increase the population, basically whatever they want to do with it. Last I heard, the bid on this house was just under $175,000. We were able to, give and take a little bit, add some features to make it more marketable, so that, I think that's an attractive front porch. That's something that people would be willing to go out and buy, and all of that fun stuff. So this is the first house, and then I also heard from Jim today that this is the house that we actually ended up going with. So this is the house that will be constructed out in Friend, starting sometime in the near future, I guess, to be determined. But it will be built by a local contractor, and yeah, I'm excited to see what turns out from it. But when we were deciding on all of these floor plans, we really wanted to make sure that these floor plans had 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, an attached garage, an unfinished basement, just ample space for a young family to come into the community and have their kids go to school in Friend, have maybe a new married couple possibly move out to Friend, and just start a family within the community and hopefully stay there for the rest of their lives. So that's kind of the goal, but this would be at least the starter home to get them to that point. We applied for a housing grant with the Nebraska Investment Finance Authority, and it was a 50-50 grant, and the goal of this grant was to figure out the demand for affordable housing within Friend, and also find a reuse for the manor that had just recently closed in Friend. Between the time Friend applied for the Serviceship interns, or for Paul and I to come out there, and the time that we actually showed up, there was this manor in the hospital that closed down. Just it wasn't being profitable, and the owners of the hospital decided they would much rather lose the manor than lose the entire thing. So they made the tough decision of closing it, and now there's, I think it's something over 12,000 square feet just in this hospital. It's a very nice area. We worked in there all summer, but they wanted to find some use for it, so that way people within the community could possibly use it for maybe a workout facility, an entrepreneurship center, kind of an innovation hub, or possibly assisted living. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to go into that, and we found this grant that we thought we could apply for and get, and we did actually end up getting it. It would cost a total of $20,000, and I think the community has 18 months to complete it. Is that right? Yeah. So the community has 18 months, so kind of around February or March of 2018, to get this study done with some firm to be decided, I guess. I think they required only 3 letters of recommendation, but we ended up getting over 5 or something. It was crazy, because just the community was so supportive of the idea of, first of all, figuring out what to do with all these spec houses that we were looking into, and how many would they need year to year and everything like that, and then also what to do with the manor, because people loved the manor, people wanted it to stay around forever, but if it's not being profitable, they kind of have to do something. So they people were very supportive of us applying for this grant, and I'm glad the community was awarded the funds to complete this study. So I'm excited to hear about what it finds, hopefully in the next year or two. How do we get people to hear about all of this housing in Friend? And Jim was especially interested in social media. Now, Paul and I, being the young people that we are, should be experts in social media, more or less, kind of, ish. And just started looking into different ways we could market these houses. Well, the more we started looking into it, the more we started to realize that it would be better just in general to start marketing the community as a whole. When I was out in Friend and I would talk to people from outside the community that maybe weren't familiar with Friend, they would always, hear about it and just kind of think, it's a small town, there isn't really much there if they're from a big city like Lincoln. But the people who have heard about it, it's a really nice community. Part of the problem is just getting the word out that there is a community out there that people, always love, that people go to and that kind of thing. So it just kind of turned into how do we just market the community as a whole, and we started doing that through Facebook. So we started this page called Friend Nebraska USA. So we started out just no one knew about the page, so it had 0 page likes, it was brand new, and by the time we left, it had reached 284 page likes and it had reached over 18,000 people. So then we also started a Twitter page. I came up here, I took a marketing class in the spring, and I talked with my marketing professor, and he said that what a lot of communities don't know how to do is use Twitter correctly. You would think that in a community, of 1,000 people, just kind of this big city mentality, like you would think in a community of 1,000 people, you wouldn't have a lot to tweet about on a daily basis. In fact, it's the opposite. You can actually tweet a lot about a friend of that, or a community of that size. I forget exactly how many tweets we had, but I mean, it was a lot, a couple of tweets a day. And we didn't have as many followers as we did for Facebook, but we still reached over 4,500 people, just because of the way Twitter can be used to spread information about just, the community. Say there's a city council meeting, you can post the time for the city council meeting and on Twitter, and that way people can say, oh, hey, that's cool, I want to go to that. And you can post about the 4th of July or pretty much anything else. So there's a lot of great opportunities on Twitter to kind of create buzz by just posting frequently, using 140 characters or less, and it was pretty successful in the time that we were there. I mean, it's probably more successful than my Twitter page. So Friend currently has a website, and it hasn't been updated for a couple of years just because of, coding is complicated. I don't even know how to do it. But we started looking into ways that we could have them either create a new website or look into ways to update their website in an affordable and easy to learn way. So we started looking into that, and then also kind of broadened that scope to include Facebook, Twitter, and just kind of marketing in general. What can the community do to maybe put signs along the interstate, or use brochures, or other means of kind of marketing to get people to become aware of the community. So part of that was doing a short survey of local residents to learn what people liked about Friend, and we actually got about 80 responses, which, I mean, in a community of 1,000 people, that's quite a bit. So that was really cool to see those responses, see what people liked about Friend, and kind of what some people who maybe aren't always at the city council meetings, kind of what they thought about some of the things going on in town. All the positive reactions to even starting this survey, which was really cool. Just once word got out, I mean, so many people were excited to hear that something's going to happen. Like, people are going to find out about Friend, and hopefully we'll have more tourists, visitors, that kind of thing. It was really cool to see how many people came out to that farewell dinner. I remember my dad was out there, and he was like, in a big city, you would never see, I think we had somewhere between 30 and 40 people show up just to see what we did over the summer. And those are people that I can go to if I have questions about their fields of interest. So there's people in kind of general business, there's people in manufacturing, and I mean, that it's just a wide variety of different people, different experiences that now we have access to, and we know that we made an impact for them because they care about Friend as a community and want to see it succeed. The RFI Serviceship provides the idea, but it lets you take the reins and light a spark in the community. And that, I think, is really true because when Paul and I went out there, I mean, we're not marketing people or kind of community development people. I mean, he's in engineering, I'm in actuarial science. Like, it just doesn't kind of make sense to do that. But just once we got out there, they just kind of said, here you go, and do what you can with it. And I think it ended up turning into a really great project for us. We learned a lot about kind of how we work and how we can use our experience, even if it's not exactly in our field of interest, to go out into a community and make an impact. So I was really glad that I had the opportunity for this. So.